Hey guys, you're watching One and Only. My name is AJ, and we are back on another episode of Redstone from scratch. The series where we've gone through the very basics of Redstone, taught that's a better word, taught you all how to get started with Redstone. And now we've got into the practical uses. We've gone through 3x3 doors, we've gone through 4x4 doors, we've gone through some different farm designs, got a cool lighthouse, we've gone through a portcullis, otherwise known as just a castle gate. We've gone through some silly designs like the egg collecting and chicken breeder all-in-one machine. And today is a sort of fairly unique one. You don't really see this too often in Minecraft. But a subscriber said to me on an episode of Zonocraft, they said, why don't you make something that will automatically fill up your buckets of water to go into your ice tray that we built recently? I thought it was a pretty cool idea, so I've had a go, and I've got something here that'll automatically fill an empty bucket up with water. So, if I get a bucket, and I put a bucket in there, we get a bucket of water come out the other side. It also works with multiples, so if I put 2 in there, we get 2 buckets of water come out. Okay, there's a delay on it, and I'll explain why there's a delay on it as well. And we can also put a whole stack in, so you can literally fill up that chest with empty buckets, and it'll fill every single one of them up with water. Okay, so as you can see, there's a little bit of a sort of cooldown period that I've got on it before it chucks out another bucket of water. When I go behind this to show you the redstone, I'll explain why it does that. But there we go, so there's our 16 buckets of water. To save me confusing myself at a later date, I'm actually going to take these buckets out and get rid of them. If we head behind it, it's actually relatively small. This is still a bit of a prototype for me. I just put this together about an hour ago, and I've condensed it down to a size that I'm happy to show you guys with, but I'm sure we could actually make it even smaller if we wanted to. So, we've got a little tiny bit of redstone, not really much redstone required, and we've got this infinite water spring here. Now, everybody knows that if you put a bucket of water in a dispenser, and then the dispenser is activated, it'll actually put the water and sort of let the water flow in the block in front. Something that some people don't actually know, surprisingly, is if you put an empty bucket in here and you've got a source of water in front of it, it'll actually suck the water up into that bucket. So that's the mechanic that we're going to use to fill up our buckets of water. Now, there is a cooldown on it. There's like this cooldown of where it just doesn't chuck out loads and loads of water buckets at us, and that's because if I just place a block here and then delete it, can you see for a small momentary period this corner is no longer a source block, it's just flowing down into that corner. If there's a bucket in this dispenser and it drags the water out, it's actually going to do that. It's actually going to draw that water out until the infinite water spring replenishes itself. But if another bucket comes in and activates when there isn't a source in front of it, it's actually just going to throw the bucket out into the pool, and you're going to lose the bucket, which sucks. So by putting a little bit of a cooldown on it, we're guaranteeing that the water source is going to be infinite again. Okay, very, very important. So, let's build it. We're going to need some chests. We're going to need some hoppers, a redstone comparator, some redstone torch, repeater, and a dispenser, a sticky piston, and a block just to build with. Okay, so let's come over here and let's get our chest in line, otherwise my OCD will drive me nuts. What we're going to do is we're going to put down a nice double chest on here. That way we can actually get a facade on it, so like we can actually hide up the redstone with it if you use a double chest. Once you've got the chest down, come around this side and place a hopper pointing into that chest. This is going to be the chest that we collect out our buckets of water from after they've been filled. On top of this hopper, you're going to place a dispenser. You need to stand a little bit back at the moment for some reason for it to place. But place a dispenser on there. And then on the back of the dispenser, you're going to place another hopper going into it. And then on top of this, you're going to crouch click, like jump click, if you like, to get a double chest on top, like so. Once we've got this in, we can now put in our infinite water spring. So you're going to place 4 blocks down, and then you're going to place sort of 2 blocks around either side, whoops, like that, to get like a little bit of an area. We might as well fill that up with water now. Boop, boop, like so. And now it's time for the redstone part. So very, very simply, you're going to place down 2 blocks, and then a comparator, and this comparator is going to light up and let the rest of the redstone know whenever that there's an empty bucket in this dispenser. So that'll light up when a bucket goes in there. You're going to have to put a repeater after that to make sure the signal can get everywhere. Place another block, and then place like a step up going into this hopper. This is a very important little redstone line, because what this is doing is whenever there's an item in this dispenser, this redstone lead will be powered, which means this hopper will be locked. And what that means is that nothing can pass through this hopper whenever there's an item in this dispenser. Okay, so if there's nothing in there, the bucket will go through the chest, through the hopper, into the dispenser. Once there's one in there, the comparator lights up, powering this redstone, telling this hopper not to let anything through. Otherwise, we'll end up with 9 buckets in here, and it's going to jam up the system. Once we've got that, you can now do a little drop down and run your redstone just to the left there, and then we're going to put in a little monostable circuit. So you're going to go a repeater, a sticky piston with a block on top, another repeater, and then you're just going to run your redstone to here for the moment. Okay, so like a little wheel. What we're going to do now is we're going to come around the front and drop down underneath this hopper, and we're going to power it. Okay, so we're going to put a redstone torch below it, basically for the same reason as why we're powering this redstone. What we don't want to do is we don't want to put a bucket in, the bucket goes through the hopper, through the dispenser, but if this hopper wasn't powered, the empty bucket, in fact I can show you, the empty bucket, let's take this torch away, boop. We put an empty bucket in here, the empty bucket just shoots through straight into this chest. There's nothing to stop it while it's in the dispenser to be filled up. So if we put a torch below it, now when we put this bucket in, the hopper is locked, so the bucket gets stuck inside the dispenser, okay, waiting to be filled up. So once we've got that, you're then going to break that block here, so the redstone is pointing into the block below it. When this redstone signal is lit, it'll turn the torch off and say, yep, you can now let that bucket of water through and put it into the chest. Place one piece of redstone there, and then 2 repeaters. Leave this repeater on its ordinary 1 tick. On this one, you're going to put it up to the maximum amount that it can. Now what we're going to do is you're going to place a block on top of this dispenser and a piece of redstone to the side of it, and one there, so it's pointing like into that block to power that. And now we're going to drop this redstone lead down and join it up with here. Redstone, 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 redstone. A repeater in the middle with 2 ticks of delay, so you're just going to hit your left trigger once on it if you're on console. And that's it. So that's as simple as it is. So let's just go through the redstone before we test it. It's going to empty bucket of water is going to go from the chest into the hopper, into the comparator. The comparator lights up, powering this redstone lead, saying to the hopper, don't let any more through, so the hopper is now locked. The redstone lead then comes down, the signal passes through the monostable circuit here to give it like a little bit of a delay. This is what gives the cooldown period. Redstone signal then comes around and splits up into 2 sections here. It's going to first make it up this one because the delay is less on here, and it's going to trigger this block which powers the dispenser, which then fills the empty bucket of water up with water, or fills up the empty bucket with water, making it a bucket of water, sorry. By then, once it's filled up, the redstone signal is already going through these delays and ending up down here. Once it powers this block, it's going to turn off that torch, which then unlocks this hopper, pulling the bucket, what is now the bucket of water, out of the dispenser into the hopper and putting it into the chest. Our first step though is to actually set it going. So to get it going for the first time, you're just going to place 1 bucket of water in there, and what that does is that's actually going to stop it in this hopper, okay? And that just like primes the system, similar to like priming a gun, you know, it's you're priming the first use of it. Once you've got that first bucket in there, it'll now work every single time. So if we put a bucket in there, we will get a bucket of water out. If we put 3 buckets in here, we will now get 1, 2, 3 buckets of water out. Really, really cool. Really, really simple. You can put a really nice facade on it like I've got here, like a nice quartz looking front on it. You can do what you like. You can hide it in a wall. It's really not that huge. It's relatively compact, especially for a prototype like this. I'm sure some of you redstone people can compact it down even more. I'm sure I could if I was given another hour or so. I could take out a few blocks, maybe, definitely shorten down these 2 blocks. But it's not really that bad. I really, really like it. It's a really fun, quirky little thing. And we're going to leave it there, guys. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye!